For over 70 years, NASCAR has been the most prominent motorsports series in the U.S., going to tracks that were both made for NASCAR and tracks that previously existed for millions of people all over the country. That being said, there are other stock car racing series in existence, and one of them is Arca. But what exactly is Arca? Where did it come from? How did it come to be? Where do they race? I plan to answer all these questions and more in this video, starting now. Founded in Toledo, Ohio, MARC, the Midwest Association for Race Cars, began in 1953, led by John Markham, who was friends with Bill France Sr., the founder of NASCAR, and was previously employed by the company. His original idea for the sport was to create a northern counterpart to NASCAR, sort of like the Arca East and West series being held presently. France played a key role in early MARC, as in 1964 he invited the series to Daytona Speed Weeks and advised a name change from MARC to Arca, the Automobile Club of America. At this time, stars who would get into the Grand National, later Winston Cup Series, came to Arca, but mainstays in the series did develop, such as Nelson Stacy and six-time Arca champion Iggy Katona. Drivers such as Benny Parsons, Ken Schrader, and Kyle Petty came from the series, as this became the proving ground for whether or not a driver could make it into the Winston Cup Series, let alone have a good ride. Over time, new mainstays came to the series, such as nine-time Arca champion Frank Kimmel and Bobby Gearhart, a competitor for over 30 years in Arca. As the connection of Arca and NASCAR grew, Arca began their televised racing, and while it had been a part-time basis for decades, mainly encompassing the bigger racing on their tour, in 2019, the entire season was televised, thanks to NASCAR's carrier Fox Sports and MAV TV, Lucas Oil's television network. Shortly before that, however, NASCAR had acquired the series from the Markham family and began to change the rules. And while some of their differences still exist, and while I plan to return to information about the acquisition, I believe you all deserve to know how Arca differentiated themselves from NASCAR and other series. Arca, while having a tight relationship with NASCAR, has its own identity. While NASCAR competes on mainly bigger tracks and bigger markets, such as Las Vegas and Texas, Arca tours at smaller, less recognizable tracks, such as the tracks they own, the Toledo Speedway and Flat Rock Speedway, in Toledo, Ohio, and Monroe County, Michigan, respectively. These tracks, while lesser known, allow Arca to spread out while also having shared weekends with NASCAR on tracks like Daytona or Pocono. And when it comes to the cars, they are older bodies from the Cup Series, with some bodies lasting for decades. While previously, not every car came from the Cup Series, as in the 1980s cars like the Ford Granada were ran, a majority came to be previously used bodies. Denny Hamlin's first winning car happened to run in Arca until 2018, and by that time was rebranded as a Ford with a Penske engine under the hood. These cars were the Generation 4 cars left for NASCAR following the transition to the car of tomorrow, and were used until they couldn't run in some instances. When it comes to broadcasting, they do have different networks compared to just the two running NASCAR, yet it makes it harder for the series to be seen and recognized to people who don't watch NASCAR and keep up to date, which is the reason the K&N series had a rise in popularity with the simplicity of it having the same networks as NASCAR. I don't have MAV TV, so I only watch Arca races on Fox Sports or NBC Sports, and this makes it harder for me to watch these races, and I'm sure it's harder for others. MAV TV isn't necessarily as big as Fox or NBC, but that's a tangent for another video. Also, unlike NASCAR, smaller sponsors on cars are more common, as Arca, while having some big teams and sponsors, does not have as many as NASCAR, which can pull more sponsors compared to Arca or any other series of stock car racing. Arca, unlike NASCAR, ran midgets, a series they only shortly held from 1998 to 2002, and had their own division of trucks, the Arca Lincoln Welders Truck Series, from 1999 until 2016. Unlike NASCAR, Goodyear was not the tire supplier of Arca, as Hoosier tires were supplied for Arca's series from 1995 until 2015, when General Tire took over as the supplier for Arca, and continues to do so to this day. While Arca is not as popular as NASCAR, it does have some popularity in the mainstream media, and it's only fair to see where that popularity stems from.
Them that sky shall get.
NASCAR has had its years as a mainstream sport. The early 2000s had games, merchandise, advertisements, anything you could think of. However, Arca has not hit that mainstream success, or ever had a major chance at having it. Arca is considered a feeder series, a series in which younger drivers start their careers, then work up to NASCAR's top 3 divisions, and you could say the reason they don't have mainstream success is that they were marketed as such. Arca has one game, Arca Sim Racing 2008, made by indie developer The Sim Factory. And judging by the reception from players, it seems to be on par with NASCAR Racing Season 2003. And while I can say I've never played Arca's game, what I have seen is quite impressive for the small team that put it together. The main thing that seems to come out of Arca is the meme of Arca brakes, where a driver will attempt to use their brakes in a wreck, but fail horribly, making the wreck worse. The way I see it, the joke is more the way Arca drivers stereotypically drive, and I do wish that they were known for something better. On YouTube, all I see is either full race replays from the heroes of the NASCAR YouTube community, seriously though, these guys are legends, check them out, or some Arca wreck compilations. A sad face for the series, and that's if you put racing at the end. There is a musician who goes by the name Arca, and I have no personal opinion on the music put out, but if anyone does, tell me in the comments below. While this was their main perception while they were an original series, their perception might change over time, and while it might not be this season, it could happen in the next few seasons, all due to the acquisition that took place. And that acquisition deserves to be talked about. April 27th, 2018. Ron Drager, president of Arca, and Jim France, vice chairman of NASCAR, had put out the news that NASCAR had acquired Arca. Ron Drager stated about the merger that, "We are proud of the history and tradition of the Arca Racing Series and the relationship we built over 6 decades with NASCAR. And we are looking forward to the opportunity to be more fully integrated with NASCAR and help shape the future of our sport." Following this, changes were soon put out to the public. What changed exactly? Arca was planned to run 4 series, the first being the Arca Menards series, their main series, while also running the East and West series at short tracks. Finally, a top-tier series for the best of the drivers that were in those 3 series, the Elite series, would run 20 races and merge schedules of the previous 3 for the top drivers. Drivers in the regionals can be as young as 15, while Elite series drivers have to be above 18. Composite bodies, ran in the East and West series, would become the norm for Arca, as the Generation 4 bodies will be phased out, with only the Ilmor 396 engine remaining for Arca, as their teams favored it. Changes were projected to occur in the 2020 season, but due to NASCAR putting their season on hold, Arca went on hold with it, and for now, Arca is unchanged, in the sense that their new season layout was not fully ran this season. But until that new format comes to play, I would like to give my suggestions for Arca, and NASCAR on what to do with Arca. I might be a new channel, but the internet can do a lot of things, so you never know if someone big will pick this up. And if so, I might as well put my view on the table. If I were to have power for the decisions of Arca, I would likely cut off the Elite series, as it seems incredibly complex, or at least seems that way for myself. But first, I would likely test the format for a few seasons, as it is untested for now. Secondly, I believe that marketing needs to happen. Contact a smaller game developer who has the talent for a good racing game, and that studio will create a game about the 4 series, or the series that remain. That game would need marketing, probably in races on telecasts, and on the topic of those, they would all be on Fox or NBC, or whoever airs NASCAR races. I would cut Map TV until they get into more basic cable programs, or find a way to loop around that, such as YouTube or Twitch. I plan to elaborate on my view on racing on TV soon, but for now, I would simplify my view down to sharing weekends with NASCAR on the same networks. If possible, get new manufacturers to try out NASCAR in these series, possibly getting Dodge or another company to come back to see if their models have potential in racing. Finally, an SUV series. If I were to axe the Elite series or change it, I would make an SUV series. Get an SUV Mustang in, a Chevy Equinox, a Toyota RAV4, or something along those lines. SUVs are very popular now and made by many manufacturers, and this could help bring manufacturers, sponsors, and new teams into NASCAR and its related series. I respect the series a lot and would only add these ideas to make the series and the sport of stock car racing more attractive and better known, and wonder what you guys would think. Tell me in any way you wish to. But for now, I will leave you with this video. Hope you enjoyed, and tell me how to improve in the comments below. Stay safe, and watch some races.